On what's going on YouTube. I just wanted to drop off this quick video right quick. Now, this video is somewhat in relation to the point that I was making in the video previous to this, where the security guard that was on duty the night of the tragic shooting that took place in Buffalo, New York. Now, that security guard also invented a car that was operating on water. Now, what you got to understand is when something like this is on the line, you create instant enemies, powerful enemies that you're totally unaware of. That one should figure when you disrupt the chains so big, such as the oil industry and the gas industry and things like that, you better be rest assured that you're on someone's hit list and they're gonna get you. Let's read this. Stan Meyer's car with a water power engine. Meyer's invention promised a revolution in the automotive industry. It worked through an electric water fuel cell which divided any kind of water, including salt water, into its fundamental elements of hydrogen and oxygen by utilizing a process far simpler than the electrolysis method. Despite skepticism about the legitimacy of a car that runs on water, Myers was able to patent his invention under Section 101 of the Subject Matter Eligibility Index, meaning he proved to a patent review board that his invention worked reliably. Let's skip to the juicy part. Do you understand this article right here? It confirms everything that I said about it. Now, if y'all think that 10 lies mean anything when you have these big corporations raking in billions, do y'all think that 10 lies matter to a company like that when when someone pose an imminent threat to everything that they build and all of the money they're making? You got to understand how big this game is when it comes to oil. They're funding wars. Half of the world is powered by oil and gas. Do you understand? Let's continue. Well, for starters, it's the petroleum industry. Meyer and other alternative transportation inventors were up against copious amounts of money from Big Oil. Exxon, the world's largest publicly traded oil and gas company, reported earnings in 2018 of 76.61 billion. And this is but one of many oil corporations that not only wield tremendous political and economic power, but also the power to influence public opinion. And according to critics, they're willing and able to quell inventions that threaten to reduce or eliminate the use of fossil fuels. Of course they do, because then it would totally tank their industry. If we found a way to convert. Do you understand what this is? So it's not about greenhouse emission. It's not about climate change or any. It's to these people, it's solely about money, because they know that this industry produces the most carbon dioxide in the entire world. Do y'all understand that? Now, the oil industry always puts up a big fight. Any and everyone who has a brain should know this. That not only profit tremendously by warfare, tanks and planes do not run without fuel, but they have also been instrumental in instigating wars to feed the world's most destructive addiction. Those who profit from selling oil and gas have built their fortunes upon it, and their incomes and futures would be in jeopardy should an alternative, sustainable fuel be introduced to replace their deleterious products. And that is correct. It don't take a eye. You don't have to look. You don't have to be a Harvard graduate. You don't have to possess any degrees to understand this, people. You don't have to be a high school graduate to comprehend this. Do y'all? This is just basic common sense. Stanley Meyer's mysterious death on March 21st. 1998, Myers was having lunch at a Cracker Barrel with his brother and two potential Belgian investors. The four clinked their glasses to toast their commitment to uplifting the world, but after taking a sip of his cranberry juice, Meyer clutched his throat, sprang to his feet, and ran outside. Rushing after him, his brother Stephen found him down on his knees, vomiting violently. He quickly muttered his last words: "They poisoned me." Meyer's death was investigated for 3 months, though it was eventually written on the coroner's report that he died of a cerebral aneurysm. No. Someone in that restaurant got paid handsomely to take this guy out. Notice that it happened immediately after his brother said that they started drinking the cranberry juice. We all could see what's going on. But now this brings me back to the point that I was making in the previous video about that security guard. In that video, the commentator himself said, though, that how wild this guy's life was, not wild on the bad nose, but how prevalent it was, and how no one really knew what type of life this man was living for, was just how smart he was in the science community. But this just goes to prove my point. Exactly what I was saying in that last video. Do y'all think that these corporations will allow someone to step up and create a vehicle that runs solely off of water? So my theory about this being a big hit from big corporation and the government, all of this, I believe that the guy involved in this was a Manchurian candidate. I believe that he was bombarded online with things to trigger him as a stimuli. I believe that he was flooded with things online that that coincided with the theory that he already had going on, which was that replacement theory. I believe that he was a Manchurian candidate, and that the person who was who this whole thing stemmed after, and the intended target, I believe, was that guy right there. And what they did was they're broadcasting him of all of the victims as a code word, and just to let the higher ups know that it's done. That's why they put it out there in the news that, yeah, he was also working on a vehicle that ran off of water. So that was just confirming he's dead. The guy who was in our way is dead, and it's cool. The other people who died were just casualties of war. I promise you, I'm 1,000% sure that this was bigger than what any one of us could imagine. And that one piece right there just let me know. Once I saw that video earlier and saw that that man had created what he created, it all made so much sense to me. Come on now. What are the odds of that, people? This guy who died in this Buffalo, New York shooting created a vehicle that runs off of water. Do y'all understand what that would have did to the world? People don't understand and see what's going on. This is crazy. It was a hit. Those 10 people who got killed up in Buffalo, New York were casualty of war. They did not want this man to come out with this adventure. You read here what happened to the first guy who attempted it. He was murdered. And this is going to always happen to whoever creates anything of the sort. If you create anything dealing with cold fusion, now, if you create something dealing with cold fusion, and this device that you create, whether it's a prototype of anything, and you could power up a whole city with this one device using using water, do you understand the person who creates that cold fusion cell? They're gonna die. I mean, they're gonna die so instant. These people, it's too much money involved. These people would never allow someone on God's green earth to create something like this. Those are facts. If anyone think otherwise, you're a fucking jackass.